July 10th is our first ever Shabbat at the Town Bank Community Kitchen inside Commonwealth Autism, and I really want you to be there. This is a big deal, forming a relationship with this nonprofit that has helped us help them by bringing people into their building, showing how cool their mission is, and by having a Shabbat service and I think a delicious dinner. I need volunteers. I need help. There's free tickets. Go to the website. You know the drill. I'm Rabbi Patrick, and welcome to Kehillah. Take a minute to unwind, to rest, to relax, to get into the mood. Set your kavanot. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How glorious, how wonderful, how spectacular it is when people come together and reside with one another, rest with one another, or beside each other in unity. Okay, so the results are in from looking at all the marketing stuff and the survey that you did, and just looking at like ticket sales and the way that people support us through their monthly giving, which thank you so much to everyone for that, and looking at how well we did with the fundraiser for our time at Commonwealth Autism. And we've learned a lot, and I'm going to boil it down to a few pretty simple things, and they're all calls to action. They're all things that we need your help with. So a quick recap. Our board of directors was going to have some mission vision type meetings to discuss the next 2 years, which gets us to year 10, if you can believe that. And then the next 10 years after that. And so we put out a survey. We looked at also things that, people have been into, what's worked, what hasn't. And the board developed a certain set of priorities. And I'm just going to get into it. We're just going to do this thing. So first of all, thank you everyone who reached out to us, did the survey, things like that. One quick piece of housekeeping. There are a lot of people who said that they would volunteer, that they would help out, that they would give monthly, things like that, and then they never gave their email address. So because you didn't give your email address, we can't reach out to you. And so we feel really weird that, you said you wanted to do all these nice things, and we want to empower you to do that. And that's actually kind of the theme of this episode, but we don't have your contact info, so we can't reach out to you. So if you filled out the survey and you didn't put in your email address, and let's just assume you didn't, like just even if you think you did because you saw it at the top of the Google form and you thought, oh, my email address has been captured. No, it has not been, because it was a 100% anonymous survey. So if you took the survey, whether you think you gave your email address or not, if you took the survey, send me an email. Let me know. So that we can figure out which one was you, and we can take you up on your amazing offer to be supportive in whatever way is meaningful to you. So that's the first call to action. Now let's talk about what you actually said. So some interesting stuff in there, and I think it's going to inspire an episode of this class that I'd like to do on finding time. Because the reality is that the one thing that gets in the way of your participation is just like, there are only so many hours in the day. The kids need something. And by the way, there's no babysitting. So like, what do I do with that? And sometimes you're just whacked out and you just want to be home, or maybe the drive is just too far. Maybe it's, the wintertime, which is very much not the wintertime right now. It was like 180 freaking degrees yesterday. But like, it's the wintertime, so it gets dark earlier, and you don't drive at night, right? It's all of those things that relate to time and how we use time and who takes our time. And I have a lot of things to say about that. So I'll do an episode about that, because Judaism has a lot to offer to that conversation. So we're gonna work on that a little bit. I have some ideas, and like I said, that'll be next episode. But that's just something I wanted to share. Everyone across the board feels like they don't have enough time. We're gonna address that. That's not a programmatic thing. We can't fix that as a program. That's actually a spiritual and life coaching related need, and I'm honored to take that one on. So we're gonna work on that a little bit. A few other things that we learned about each other, and it's kind of obvious, but sometimes it's just good to have the numbers on it. You're not looking for a rager, right? Yeah, like maybe our Purim's going to be pretty exciting, and our Hanukkah is going to be pretty exciting. Yeah, those are pretty hype events, but that's not what you're looking for, right? If you have time, you want to be with people you care about, right? Your family and friends. You want intimate dinners, casual conversations. And listen, sometimes you just want to be alone with the cat in a book. I get it. That's me right there. I took it too, and that's what I said. Um, but you know what that means is that we really need more home hosted Shabbats. Because gosh, that's a really good opportunity to get a first start in Kehillah, especially. It doesn't ask too much of us, right? You just go to someone's house. Now, for the person who's hosting, it can feel like that's a huge ask. Let me offer some things that might make you feel more comfortable. So, first of all, there is no rule that says that your living room or your kitchen has to fit 20 people. I think people would be just as happy with home hosted Shabbat at the rabbis if all we did was hang out in the tiki room, and on a good day, that can fit about 10 of us. Right? Because we have this like big house. I mean, to me, it's a big house. We have this big house. No one ever like goes outside. No one ever wants to sit at the dining table. Like everybody just kind of wants to be in that darn tiki room. Um, so, if your studio apartment, if your little retiree space fits about 10 people, that's great. That's big enough for home hosted Shabbat. That's fine. We can do that. What about the food? Yeah, we'll bring it. That's not a problem. We do that too. What about the challah, the wine, the grape juice? Yeah, again, we bring that too. This is where it gets into that question of bandwidth. I think when people talk about not having enough free time, time is just a word we use to actually signify something else, which is bandwidth. So, yeah, I get it. But as far as home hosted Shabbat is concerned, all you got to do is have a front door and we got the rest and we'll take care of it. And then if you're someone, where you're like, I'd love to come to stuff, but it's just not convenient from a location standpoint, what's really convenient is your living room, your kitchen, your dining room. That's pretty darn convenient. We'll bring Kehillah to you. So for all of those people who said I'd like to be more involved, but time, location, distance, kids, yeah, we'll bring it to you. We'll bring Kehillah to you. Let's talk a little bit more about the sort of kid thing, because there's people that have different demographics, right? So we have a lot of older folks, we have a few single people, we have some younger folks, and these things like young and older, I mean, they're meaningless terms anyway, because what is older and what's younger? I feel like I'm older, but people keep telling me I still fit in as a young adult. I'm like, that's impossible. I have a 21-year-old son. I am not a young adult anymore. But whatever. Anyway, but we have all these like sort of little groups, these little chavarot, if you will, right? That are based on where you live, what stage of life you're in, what your interests are. And these are just kind of informal friend groups. But we also have more formal ones. We call them social circles. And what we learned is that that's kind of the secret sauce, right? Like that's the really cool thing. And I've always believed that. My favorite part of a Shabbat service is after the service when I see people who don't know each other exchanging Instagram accounts or phone numbers or whatever. That's when I know we've done a really great job. That for me is the winner. So we need people like you who would want to just kind of be the person who's in charge of that group, right? Do you want to just get together and hike like Joel and Denise do? Right. So we have a little group for that. Do you just want to have coffee with the rabbi? We have a thing for that. I happen to be the leader of that one because I'm the rabbi. If we had a different rabbi, they'd be in charge of this. Are you thinking about maybe getting together with some other families, like a weekend playdate thing? We actually have some people who are interested in doing that. And we could use your help with that. Maybe you'd like to be the person who all you have to do is show up early to Rockwood Park and put out a blanket and just that's it, right? That's as big as a leadership role as you would have, right? Just be that point of contact. That would be meaningful to a lot of people. We need these points of contact. Call them ambassadors, call them shluchim, call them group leaders. You can use any term you want. But we need to be able to point to other people and say, talk to this person about ... So if you have a hobby, an interest, an area of Jewish passion, if you are of a certain age and you feel like there needs to be more efforts put in to support that age group, if you are interested in something we don't provide, a Saturday morning service of some kind, a Rosh Chodesh, a Havdalah, if there's an area of Jewish learning you'd like to explore, or if you just want to hang out with Jews and get something to eat, that's fine too. Whatever age, stage, interest you're in, let's just say that you're the person, right? You're the person they reach out to, and that's that. That's as complicated as it gets. Now, if you want something that's slightly more complicated, more involved, we need help with religious life. And so what that means is people to help with the service. So that's Shabbat, that's high holidays. Maybe I get to take a vacation and you guys have a lay-led something. Yeah. Like you can do that. You don't have to have the rabbi for all of the sort of quote unquote religious things. That's the interesting thing about Judaism. There's nothing from a Jewish standpoint that I can do that you can't do. There are some technical things as far as American law, like I can officiate a wedding, right? People will generally look to me for life cycle, but you know how many bar and bat mitzvahs I'm not part of? Edva just does them. Yeah, because you could be someone who helps with that stuff. So we're sort of calling it like para-rabbi training, although that's maybe sounds a little bit intense. I just think of it as lay leadership or things Jews should know how to do. So if you'd be interested in things Jews should know how to do, and maybe that leads you one day to being more involved in a Torah reading, more involved in some element of religious life that's interesting or meaningful to you, that we don't currently serve, right? Maybe more Shabbat services on Friday night, whatever. Yeah, just reach out because we could use your help with that. And then the last thing is talking about this idea of a home. So yeah, so we have these relationships, right? We got the Commonwealth Autism thing, which I'm so excited about. I hope everyone who's listening to this RSVPs because we really want to fill this thing up. I think we're only at a quarter or so of the space capacity. We can fit 40 people. Like, let's do this thing. And also, there's 4 free tickets that were donated to support this. So if you can't afford a ticket, I need cooks. I need people to do setup and clean up. Yeah, so definitely need your help. And we'd love to give you a free ticket for your time. We have this issue that people keep bringing up around location. And again, I think this goes back to more the concept of bandwidth, but let's talk location. How important is it to you that there is one place that we always go to? Now, granted, we'll be somewhere and then it'll be like, oh, that's too far away. Or wouldn't it better when we did it this way? Whatever. Like that happens. That's part of community life. But if you're interested in that, we're going to need to raise about $90,000. I really mean that. I think we are technically like 44% of the way there if we do some fun stuff with math, but we'd need your help with that. So if you're someone who wants a long-term project to be involved in, BAYIT, the BAYIT Fund. Let's build a home together. Yeah, that's the thing we could do, right? We are the Jewish community here in Midlothian, Chesterfield, whatever word you want to use. We're the only representation of that. Maybe we need a home out here. That doesn't mean we neglect our north of the river friends, right? We still do stuff, right? We'll have some Havarot. We'll have some other things going on. Maybe we'll bring in our friends at Second Arrow. We're all buddies here. But let's build a home together. That could be something that we work on together. So a lot of things there. I want you to maybe listen to this a few times in a row. And yeah, that's what we learned. The survey is in, and that's what we know about all of us. And that's going to be our future for the next 2 years and the next 10 after that. So if this is exciting to you, reach out. You know the drill. Thanks a lot.